Well, we're back on camera again, and as usual, per usual, I am not the smartest man on camera, and I like it like that. We got 3 engineers and 1 guy that got kicked out of 3 colleges. How fun is that? But today, when we talk about engineering and the growth of engineering, we got 1 guy who's been here for about 3.5 years working in the engineering side, and 2 engineers that have been engineers for a long time, but just a few months in. What we want to talk about today is digitalization of an entire machine shop and being able to view all of everything that's going on. You might see a Fulcrum shirt, and we're also going to talk about Datanomix. I got Mike, I got Darius, I got Craig. We're going to go this direction because it makes it easier for my brain because I'm not an engineer, I just pretend to be. And we're going to start with Mike. Mike, when we talk about Datanomix, when we talk about Fulcrum, when we talk about the umbrella of being able to truly see clearly what's going on in our machine shop, what does the digital world bring to your awareness, and more specifically, Fulcrum and Datanomix? Well, the digital world brings us, it shows us our inefficiencies. We can see which cells are working and which cells aren't. We can see, are we overloading certain cells? Are we load balancing correctly? All of these things. I've had other ERP systems, and Fulcrum has given me better visualization of these things, particularly with their schedule. And then Datanomix from the other end, from the machine side, we can see if we're getting the utilization that we want out of each of the cells, out of each of the machines. So if you marry those 2 things together, you have a really good idea of what's going on in the shop at all times. Did you know you were going to be on camera today?
No.
You just come prepared, huh?
I did.
Well, Fulcrum's going to like that for sure.
I was just out of clean clothes, like with collars on it. So what's the nicest t-shirt I have?
It looks good on you.
Thank you.
All right, Darius, you're the tenured here. You're the old soul at this point. These 2 guys, while being engineers for a long time, I believe 7 months and 8 months for the most part, really getting a grasp of what's going on here. So 3.5 years for you. You were here before the time of Datanomix, before the time of Fulcrum. Can you describe to me some of maybe your stresses, difficulties, whatever adjective you want to use in that world, and the before, and what has been resolved and what you've seen since?
Yeah, I think for Datanomix and Fulcrum in particular, they really helped from implementation on the shop side, just their ease of use. They have really clean UI interfacing. They give a lot of data that we've been looking for. The systems we were using before, it took a little bit more like a technical know-how to navigate through and find the information you wanted. So I think that's been the cleanest thing in terms of how we implemented it here. So yeah.
I'm going to come back to you, but I'm going to give you your question now to give you time to think about it.
Okay.
And it's the implementation of this software and how it helps you communicate with your customers as well, because there's a lot of folks out there who are guessing still. They're saying, we think it's going to be done on Friday. We promise. Fingers crossed, thumbs up, right?
Yeah.
And a customer, I've learned, isn't overly upset if they know it's going to be late ahead of time. It's all about communication, but I want to learn a little bit more about that in just a moment.
Okay.
Craig, I'm going to come to you because now I'm going to talk about engineering in general. And as I travel around the world and go into shops around the world, it's not every day that I see an engineering team that's not quite as big as the machine shop team, but let's just say you have a good size, and I believe you're continuing to grow. What do you think having solid engineers that can oversee a full manufacturing process brings to the team at a company, the full team, the full scope of what's going on?
Sure, yeah. Well, besides the day-to-day ME things that we are doing, we're also managing the floor and the flow of the shop and what jobs are running on what machine at what given time. So we're not strictly just engineers. We're also operations directors in a sense, and value stream leaders and ops central managers all at the same time. So in that, I guess we're leveraging our engineering expertise and bringing that to a more director's kind of role, which really helps bridge the gap between the shop and a customer, being able to communicate with the guys on the floor and then also the customer, whether it's technical or not.
I can honestly agree. Firsthand experience. I worked in 3 major machine shops and we didn't have an engineering team like you at any of the 3. I was almost self-managed and I became the engineer boss of a lot of my colleagues. I would be the shop floor boss, which would be a more regular thing. And you have that here. So hearing your perspective on engineering, it's a great advocacy for a lot of other shops out there as you guys are thriving to maybe consider implementing something like that as well. So kudos to you. Mike, you came from a little bit of assembly, right? And you've done this world, this manufacturing world now for a few months. You were in it, then you slid out, now you're back in it again. When it comes to understanding data, all of the data as you described in the first question I gave you, how much do you think with all your years of experience was previously a guessing game based on what you get now sitting on the engineering side of things, and how more effectively and efficiently can your whole engineering team oversee this shop now that you truly know what's going on and you're not taking those guesses?
Absolutely. So we use our schedule. We can tell exactly when a job is scheduled to end. And when a job becomes late, we can see that. So we can take measures the day that it becomes late. It's doing the math. It's figuring out it has to do this much more processing. Then it goes to outside service. All these things take time. If that time extends beyond the due date, we have to take action. We have to expedite our outside processing. We have to figure out different machines to use if there's a capacity issue. So it gives us visibility way sooner than other systems I've used in the past, where it was maybe just a whiteboard, or maybe it was like a job boss kind of a situation where you have no visibility. You're just guessing. I've never seen software like this before, and it's been a lot of fun using it.
Sometimes I have interviews like this. I'm inspired by you guys, all three, and I think, damn, I should go back to the machine shop. I could have so much more fun. You know, I was working on Excel spreadsheets and fingers crossed and guessing games. You know, I was programming with a floppy drive.
I was away from machining for 12 years, and now there's Integrexes, there's, all these different machines that didn't exist, I feel like, back when I was in it, or they were very new. And obviously the software is just the next level. I think to manage all these advanced machines, you need advanced software.
And I'm going to actually take a piece of that for Craig. You're going to be the last question of today. Darius, don't worry, we're coming back to you. But I'm going to prepare you as well. We're standing in front of a machine with a pallet chain system. Not every piece of software out there, when you're learning how to truly monitor it, understands that every single one of these pallets might be a different job. They might all be the same job. We're trying to understand, as a prototype shop as you are, that maybe some jobs are difficult, but on a 3-axis vertical mill, my spindle wasn't spinning. And on one of these machines, because we're talking about technology, right, Mike? I can keep my spindle running at a production time of 80, 90% because all my setup is done in the pallet system. I want to talk to you a little bit about what the software has brought to understanding all of that kind of work as well when it comes to prototyping and it comes to automation, because you have a robot over there also and this pallet chain system. But let's jump back into customers. I would say that customers and customer success is maybe discussionably, arguably the most important thing. If we don't have customers, we don't have work, and we don't have a career or a job, right? And I would say communication with them is often undervalued in a lot of places. We give them a quote. It'll show up when it happens. And we do the best we can to reach that time that we guarantee them, right? But I've never seen happier customers and clients than ones that are communicated with. And what Mike was just talking about, we can tell when it's late. We can tell when it's early. We know everything that's going on thanks to Fulcrum and Datanomix. What does that bring to your communication level with the satisfied customers?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is obviously just the visualization. That's helped tremendously with being able to get answers as quickly as possible to customers, especially when they're expecting parts or they're needing something changed real quick.
I know I'm not the only one. I say this from my perspective because I know I'm not the only one, and there's people out there can relate how much time we used to waste passing a piece of paper around, making a phone call. It's a late, it's on time, or getting a phone call and then they didn't know the answer and having to run around to find that paperwork and find the people. How many more days until it's going to be? Time wasted and valuable time wasted. I know how many folks out there are doing that. That's why we look into Datanomix. That's why we look into Fulcrum. That's why we get these answers. Thank you for conveying that message as well. All right, Craig, this is the mic drop moment. You're the last question of the day. No pressure whatsoever, but we're getting back into the fact that you guys here are a prototype shop. Prototyping can sometimes be difficult. It means that you've never done it before. It means that everything is brand new and you have invested in some great technology. Mike said, we have the Integrex here. When I think about mill turns and all the operations that can be done at one time without moving it from machine to machine to machine, you have a robot cobot situation over there. I know you're looking to invest in even more automation. Pallet change system, one of my favorites because it allows us to do everything while the machine is running. But we have to understand all that. And that's where the software comes into play as well. Could you bring this all into summary about how Datanomix and Fulcrum and just the knowledge of understanding from a bird's eye view of machine shop truly helps when any company out there decides to go into the automated world? Because if we don't actually know what's being automated or the time frames or anything that goes into it, are we truly automating if we don't have the digital side of it? And I think that's where you guys sit as well.
I just got a ring from a customer right now that's at the lobby in front of the door, so I need to run.
Customers are most important, Craig. I'm sure somebody else could answer the question. Thank you so much. That's how, look, this is live, my friends. This is what happens. Thanks, Craig. All right, now I got 2 lapels, which is fun. And Mike, I believe you can answer this question for us, right?
Absolutely. So from the beginning phases, we discuss in depth what machines will be used, what we expect the setup time to be, what we expect the run time to be. And we're more accurate with that. Being accurate with that is very important to getting digitized information in the system. If you want to automate anything, you have to be accurate. And that's probably the linchpin for our automation.
Mike, thank you so much, my friend. That was really well done. Darius, congratulations on all the hard work.
Appreciate it.
Being the old soul here, even though this young man's been doing it a long time as well. And Craig, we miss you, buddy, but I thank you as well. If you're watching this video, thank you also for your time. And I hope your customer success goes well. Thank you all for watching. This is why we implement. This is why we have engineering. This is why we have automation. And this is how we thrive.